Right, so the barring of a sitting Labour Metro Mayor from standing again has, of course, prompted absolute outrage on social media. The Mayor in question, Jamie Driscoll, has a brilliant record in office over the last 5 years, has delivered on Labour policy, has proven popular in the North East, has got the job done. What more could his party want, really? He would, in the face of it, be a shoo-in to retain the post for Labour and carry on things for Labour in the name of the Labour Party, for Labour members, delivering on the policy changes that are going to make life better for this country, you would imagine. Unfortunately, he's left-wing. He's a socialist, so it doesn't matter how good he is. He's unacceptable to Keir Starmer and therefore has to go. I'm not going to go into the record of Driscoll again here. I did that in a video yesterday, so please, if you've not caught up on this story just yet, do go and watch that one. But it's this one, obviously, first, though. I'll link back to it. But the outcry on social media, and within Labour circles too, actually across the political spectrum, such has been Driscoll's competence and ability and good reputation, that the mainstream media have latched onto it too. And he appeared on Sophie Ridge's Sunday morning politics show today on Sky. Prior to that, though, Ridge had Starmerite patsy Jonathan Reynolds on to justify the treatment Driscoll has had. Ridge put to Reynolds that this move is factional. That is the accusation made against Team Keith, after all, from a great many people across the political spectrum, Labour members particularly. They're absolutely right, too, in my opinion. Starmer back to purging the left again. And that is especially important here, not just because Driscoll is on the left, but because his competence shows Starmer up for the outright frigging amateur he actually is. Reynolds, of course, disagreed. It's what he's there for, hardly a surprise. He said, I strongly disagree with that assertion. The Labour Party is a very large organisation, but Keir Starmer has changed the Labour Party since he became leader. No kidding. And part of that process is we have a due diligence process in place, and that because, frankly, in the past, the person elected as a Labour representative hasn't met the standard required of them. And specifically in a case where somebody shares a platform with somebody who themselves has been expelled from the Labour Party for their views on anti-Semitism, for opposing the action that needed to happen, that would preclude them from being a Labour candidate going forwards. Because when we said we had a zero tolerance over anti-Semitism, when we said we would tear it out by its roots, we're serious about that. Keir Starmer has made that very clear, and nobody should be surprised we're sticking to our word on that. Well, that would be nice, Jonny, is if you didn't just stand there weaponising the issue when anti-Semitism has nothing to do with any of this whatsoever. Jamie Driscoll, as Metro Mayor, attended an event, as Metro Mayors do. The event was at Newcastle's Live Theatre, where a production of Ken Loach's latest film, The Old Oak, was being shown. That Loach had been expelled from Labour under Starmer is irrelevant. This was not a political event. Just how far must Labour figures go to avoid people who got expelled by the party then, if this is the sort of treatment they're going to get? Ken Loach got expelled from the Labour Party like so many others on the left because Keir Starmer decided to proscribe certain critical groups affiliated to the Labour Party, but went even further than that and did so retrospectively, so that even if you might have attended a meeting by one of these formerly affiliated groups, you could still be expelled for it. Meeting them at a time it was fine to do so later became punishable by expulsion. That is why Loach went. Jonathan Reynolds bringing anti-Semitism into the equation was just completely dishonest, and whether that is because of his own ignorance or because his string puller told him otherwise is also irrelevant. He was wrong. Labour under Keir Starmer weaponises racism. It does not deal with it. The ongoing ignorance of the findings of the Ford report spells it out in both black and white, both literally and figuratively. But it really is very interesting that meeting with Ken Loach, and also the fact that Loach, like so many others, was punished Minority Report style after the fact. Here's Keir Starmer sharing a platform with Ken Loach back in 2016. Should he be retrospectively purged for this too? Should he have to explain why he can purge someone for attending a film showing with the film director, yet he can go on BBC Question Time and still remain Labour leader when he's purged people later for having previously attended a perfectly acceptable party affiliate event? Now you might be thinking, oh, this is churlish, Damo, you're getting desperate here. But is what Starmer has done to Driscoll not churlish as well? Where is the cut-off point? How far back in time is it acceptable for Starmer to go to purge people? Because to me, punishing people retrospectively isn't acceptable at all. It's no more acceptable than blocking a competent, popular, clearly vote-winning candidate for attending a social event in his capacity as said mayor with a film director his party happened to not like. Starmer's Labour, let's not forget, have been forming alliances with Tories since the local elections to seize control of local councils. Is that not more unacceptable? Is that not more offensive to the Labour membership that the party is meant to represent? This isn't a representative Labour Party. It's Starmer's party now. It's his. He might not actually own it, but he acts as if he does. And anyone belonging to it only does so at his behest. Do something he doesn't like, which is what this comes down to, and that's it. You're out. We'll find an excuse somewhere, somehow. And you want someone like that to run the country? I don't. What next? Retrospective deportations for people who say stuff he doesn't like. Freedom of speech and expression out of the window. Ultimately, what has happened here is, again, Starmer's faction have blocked local Labour members from choosing their own candidate, as they have so often, so many examples thereof around the country over the past 4 years of Starmer's tenure. And Driscoll on Sky spelt this out in no uncertain terms himself. He said, I want Keir to have a look at this. I would like him to say, look, let's let the members decide. My trade union is backing me. I've had huge support from across the party. I have had a look at the legal routes. It's not all clear what they are. And I really do think that let members choose who they want as their candidate. That's how democracy works. And I honestly think here that in a two-party system, if you're going to ban people who are promoting socialist views from participating in that, that really is quite anti-democratic. He's absolutely right there. Of course, obviously, but for many of we socialists, we know Labour has become an anti-democratic cesspit and have left. Labour has lost 136,000 members since Jeremy Corbyn stood down. Membership now almost as low as it was under Ed Miliband in 2015. So all the enthused, inspired people who came to Labour believing it would make a difference to all of our lives have functionally left or been purged. That's 25.6% of the membership gone from its high point under Corbyn. Having the biggest membership of any party in Europe gone. Corbyn cleared debts that had existed in the party since the 1960s and left the party £13 million in the black, and now Keir Starmer is sending out emails begging for cash, having wasted the lot. It's debatable whether the cash to run the next general election campaign will even be available now to Labour due to this red Tory and his power trip. I hope Jamie Driscoll has some sound legal advice coming to clarify his route of next course of action for him. But if not, he needs to accept that there will be no way in hell Starmer will let local members decide, because his reputation now is solidly built on doing the opposite of that. Yes, it was his pledge, but he doesn't keep his word. So don't expect him to do so now or going forwards either. And that's a message to any Labour member. I wish Jamie well. I truly do. I have enormous respect for him. The North East deserves to keep this guy. But if that's going to be a ballot choice for them, I think Driscoll will inevitably have to now stand as an independent. And after you've liked, shared and subscribed to the channel, as incensed at Labour under Starmer as you are, and becoming ever more so, just like me, assuring that here is a channel where the red Tories of Team Keith will be held to account as much as the blue Tories of Rishi Sunak do, here's the lead up to this Jamie Driscoll story as my video recommendation here at the end. I've also linked to the full Question Time episode featuring Keir Starmer and Ken Loach, so you can see how they interacted back in 2016. Arguably grounds for Starmer's suspension as Labour leader under his own form of rule, in my opinion. And I'll catch you on the next video. Cheers, folks.